In today's Leeds news, Danilho Doekhi's availability, Tanaka World Cup call-up, Hull Adamant on Joffy's stance, Cairns on Shambles release, and are these striker links credible? Hey everyone, welcome to the Leeds View for Friday the 15th of May with your Leeds United news. Jerry here. There's a bit of stuff to get stuck into today. You can check out last night's podcast. We finally took the shortlist of all the players that have been linked with Leeds United since the beginning of February to now. Myself and Andrea Russo went through it, the outlets, the players, and the likelihood of there being any genuine interest from a Leeds United perspective. You can check that out. I will link it towards the end of the video. It's a long one, it's about 50 minutes long, but you can get stuck into that if you want the extra detail on that. We're going to continue to track them and the rest of the players who, again, are being linked over the next couple of days to that list. And we'll keep an eye going into the summer. We'll see at the end of the summer who is credible and who is not at that moment in time. But as we said in that, all of these are just linked players at the moment, and they might be forming some form of a shortlist. And there was a pattern starting to emerge of positions that Leeds may be interested in going into the summer. But we've got one to start off with today. We can write one off that list from last night, by the way. Yannick Schuster looks like he's going to go to Brentford for about £18 million from Red Bull. He was linked last week, I think, or possibly the week before. So that's one name that is definitely now off of the list. But let's start off with another centre-half that's been linked with Leeds United repeatedly since January. So we know centre-half is probably one of the positions that Leeds United are rumoured to be looking at, or will have a look at this summer once the transfer window opens. But there's still some level of uncertainty around what the future of Pascal Struijk looks like. He's heading into the final year of his contract. There are some rumours that Leeds United will look to move him on this summer. There are other rumours that state that Leeds United will look to lock him down to a brand new contract. But there have been other centre-backs linked with Leeds United over the past couple of months. And in January, Leeds were linked pretty heavily with a move for Danilho Doekhi, or Doekhi, depending on what way you want to pronounce that. And at the time, that move didn't happen. The player himself was said to be interested in just seeing what his options were, let his contract wind down a little bit, and then make a call. Well, apparently now, the first part of that call has been made, and he isn't staying at Union Berlin. Last night, Florian Plettenberg put out a tweet that said that Danilho Doekhi has confirmed that he's decided to leave Union Berlin this summer. His final game of the season is this weekend coming, and after that, he will be available on a free transfer. Now, he's also got interest from Borussia Dortmund and several Saudi Pro League clubs as part of that PIF group that have ownership over there. So he's got options. If he wants to come to the Premier League with Leeds, stay in Germany with Dortmund, or maybe go to the Saudi Pro League and get after some of that money. But he does tick quite a lot of the boxes that Leeds tend to like in a transfer window. He's 6'2" in height. He's 27 years of age, so ticks those boxes. He's got 6 goals and 1 assist this season. Has been described as a real threat from set pieces. And if you think about how Leeds have used their set pieces this season, adding another defender who is capable of scoring goals to that wouldn't be a bad idea. But he is one of the most prolific defenders in Europe's top 5 leagues so far this season. But at this stage, any official information around Leeds linked to the player is unknown. Any solid or credible interest at this point is also unknown, but he has been continuously linked from Bild in Germany, who are not as credible as they once were, and some other aggregate sites that have linked him. Fabrizio Romano last month also linked him with a move to Leeds United. Now, whether you are interested in Fabrizio Romano or not, he tends to have information that's relatively credible as compared to other outlets, but it will be a smart bit of business for Leeds United. A free signing, good age, good height, good track record, well thought of. Dutch player as well. It will be an interesting one. Never gets injured either. He's got a really good injury track record as well. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, for me, a player I wouldn't mind seeing Leeds bring in. Again, I think for the price, 0. Smart bit of business. Let's move on. Tanaka's received a call-up to the Japanese national side for this summer's World Cup. So congratulations to Ao on that. But there was no place in their squad for linked with Leeds, not linked with Leeds, interested from Leeds, not interested from Leeds midfielder Hidemasa Morita at this moment in time. But Tanaka will be joined by Liverpool's Endo, Crystal Palace's Daichi Kamada, and Celtic's Daizen Maeda of players that are playing in the UK. There's 2 players been called up for World Cup duty already from the Leeds United squad. Well done to both of them. There are more likely to be called up in the next couple of weeks. Let's move on. The never-ending story that is Joe Gelhardt's future. But he has a playoff final to look forward to at Wembley after his goal helped send Hull into the showcase game, and that's still to be confirmed exactly who they will be playing in the playoff final. On paper it's Southampton, but there is an independent tribunal set to give a verdict next Tuesday on potential sporting sanctions against Southampton for spying. not just on Middlesbrough, but potentially on other clubs. And if that happens, Middlesbrough could get their place in the final. But I think Wrexham also have a case to make there as well. If they only missed out on the playoffs by, I think, a point or 2 points, and if they were spying on several clubs this year, maybe there's an argument there as well. So it's a bit of a mess in the Championship. But for Joe Gelhardt's long-term future, that isn't crystal clear at this moment in time. He's heading into his final 12 months of his deal at Leeds United this summer. And Leeds apparently, as we've discussed over the last couple of months, are open to a sale of Joe Gelhardt this year if they can get the valuation that they hold him at. Now, Hull City's chairman, Jared Dublin, has been speaking about this, and he's been adamant repeatedly that they still have interest in keeping him permanently at the club, regardless of what division they find themselves in next season. Hull's transfer embargo is due to expire, and at that point, they can start looking at making moves for players. And now that they've got a clearer picture of what division Leeds United will be in next season, they can start to plan for that, and Leeds can plan for who's staying and who's going into the summer. Joffrey's got 15 goals and 6 assists this season, playing the number 10 position for Hull. He's been a major part of the success that they've had in the Championship this year. 21 GNA is a career best for Joe Gelhardt at this moment in time. He's GNA'd more than some of Leeds players last season. But Dublin was speaking to the Yorkshire Evening Post on Gelhardt, and he had the following to say. There's no option on Joffrey's loan as part of the EFL restrictions, but the owner, myself and the gaffer have all been very vocal, and there's a will at both ends to continue. Now, we know where Leeds are, so we have to see where we are, but Joffrey has been fantastic since day one, and we'd love to keep him irrespective of what division we are in. Now, Leeds are said to be rumoured to be interested in selling the player for in and around £10 million. It is just a rumoured number at this moment in time. Nobody really knows. There is also speculation that there are other clubs interested in bringing him in. Coventry have been mentioned, Wrexham have been mentioned, but again, all speculation at this moment in time. So we will see what happens, but it does look like there's interest in Joe Gelhardt, and it does look like he will move away from Leeds this summer. Another player that might be leaving Leeds United this summer and is out of contract is Leeds United's third choice goalkeeper, Alex Cairns. And going into this summer, Alex Cairns at 33 years of age, there isn't really any news on whether he will be retained as Leeds United's third choice goalkeeper into this summer, and it could end his second spell at the club. And whatever way it ends in the next couple of weeks, if it does end, it will end on a far happier and more upbeat note than his first stint at the club ended. He's been speaking with the Leeds United official podcast, and he's talked about the chaos of the Massimo Cellino ownership, what it was like for the players, and the fact that he was released from the club by a letter, despite the fact he had been told the opposite would in fact happen. And speaking to the Leeds United official podcast, Alex Cairns had the following to say. It felt like a shambles. The expectation will always be there with Leeds, but the whole place was a shambles. I remember the Cellino era, and for me, it was horrendous. I can't lie, because you got sold so many lies. I remember going into his office, and he said, I'm going to send you out on loan. I rang my agent, and he had no idea of those conversations. So I was like, well, am I here? Am I there? What am I going to do? I was desperate for game time, and I found out from a letter from the club saying, thank you, it's time to leave, even though I was told I was getting a new contract. I ended up getting a letter when we got back from Tenerife. I came back to the letter saying, you've been released. Cairns also spoke to the Leeds United manager at that time, Neil Redfern, about the situation. Redfern said he had no idea about it. He wasn't informed that this was a situation or that Cairns had actually been released. And he said coming back to the club this time around was very different. He was a little bit nervous about coming back to Leeds, but he said it was much clearer on what the expectations were. The club had a plan for him. He spoke to the manager. He wasn't guaranteed game time, but was told he'd be given opportunities to show what he can do in training. And he has said that he has enjoyed and loved working with Daniel Farke, and the manager has lived up to his word to that degree. On Cellino era, he said comparing Cellino's era with the current era is chalk and cheese. But he said that the dressing room the Leeds have right now is a very solid dressing room. There are no egos in there as compared to what was there before. So, yeah, it's an interesting one with Alex Cairns. He is third choice for Leeds. He came through the Leeds United Academy. He knows what it's like to come through. He's seen the good and the bad times at the club. It's always good to have somebody like that around the place, whether he stays on as a coach, 33 years of age. He may feel he's got a bit more football in him. But yeah, you look at the under-21 players coming through, and having a person that's already done that pathway is very useful to have at the club. And for new players coming in, if Sam Byram's leaving in the summer, you kind of want to have people around the place who know exactly what the expectation is of being a Leeds United player, from players who've come from the bottom all the way through to the first team. But it's going to be an interesting one for Alex this summer. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's move on. So Lewis Openda and Liam Delap have both been linked with Leeds United in the past week, and we need to figure out how much stock we can actually put in these links and the sources that have linked these players to Leeds United and line them up against what Leeds' likely expectation is from what they want this summer and see if they stack up. First one to talk about is Doekhi Availability. He was linked initially a few months back by Calcio Mercato, but he has had a truly awful season in terms of goal return at Juventus since his loan there started this season. Last season at Red Bull Leipzig, he scored 13 goals and added 7 assists. The season before that was his career best. He scored 28 times and added 7 assists as well. But since his loan to Juventus, he's only managed to clock up 2 goals in 37 appearances in total. That's his performance level from what Leeds are likely to look at. And Leeds have been linked with 2 pretty standout profiles of strikers already this year. Target man, the 6'+ mould, and potentially a second striker who can operate in one of those loose number 10 positions behind a striker like Okafor and Brendan Aronson occupy right now. So from that perspective, he falls into that second category. 26 years of age, he's 5'7", fairly mobile player, hasn't always played as a striker for Juventus, and that should be pointed out as well when you look at his goal tally. But the link is weak enough. It's coming initially from Calcio Mercato, not a very strong, credible source at this moment in time. And Team Talk are the outlet that are running really heavily with it right now. And again, they ran with the Hidemasa Marita story very heavily last week, minutes before Graham Smith put out a story that said that Leeds had no interest in the player at all. So you've got to take what is being said with a healthy pinch of salt. I know we joke about that, but we should do. So far since February, Team Talk have linked 7 players with Leeds United heading into this summer. Now, they're just all written in good faith. Journalists will tell you that because they talk to sources who say this player, yeah, there's an interest in it. Doesn't mean there's an actual bid going in for the player. They just inquired about them. So you've got to put it that way. But a loan option has also been mentioned, and possibly along with an option to a permanent move has been mentioned for Openda. Given the season that he's had in Italy, and Italy's a strange league, so again, you've got to take that into consideration. Players that go there don't always do well and can tend to do well in other leagues, no problem. So it's a strange one, but it doesn't feel to me at this moment in time like an overly credible link or a player that Leeds United will be looking to bring in to fit the mould of what they're looking for at this moment in time. The second one to talk about is Liam Delap. And again, this has been ran by Team Talk, but they've gotten information from Chelsea journalist Simon Phillips, who has informed them that Leeds United have made contact with Chelsea over a possible move for Delap. Now, that's not what everybody is saying on this story. Delap's first season in the Premier League was a standout season for him. 12 goals for Ipswich in that year. He gets a big move to Chelsea. Manchester United were interested in him as well. And you think bigger club, better chance of creation of chances, more goals will come. He's managed 2 goals in 38 appearances this season. He's had some injury concerns as well this year. So it hasn't exactly worked out. And that shouldn't probably be used as a hammer to beat him with, because Chelsea have been a basket case this year all around. And he does have that number 9 shirt, which Chelsea fans believe is a little bit cursed as well. But one good season in the Premier League also doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a success long term. He does have ability. He has shown that. Whether that can actually be carried on into future seasons still remains to be seen. But does he fit what Leeds United are actually looking for? So the only likely one to line him up against is Jurgen Strand Larsen, who Leeds very heavily went after in January. Strand Larsen, 6'3", 26 years of age. Liam Delap, 6'1", 23 years of age. There are similarities in the style of both players, so there could be something in that. The price tag becomes an issue here because according to Phillips, Chelsea want to recoup the £30 million they paid for Liam Delap last summer. Leeds are unlikely to pay £30 million for any player unless they've got a really strong proven track record. Leeds be minding the pennies this summer. They've got roughly £100 million if reports are to be believed. So it's an interesting one. But again, as I say, Team Talk are running with this, but Team Talk have made it very clear that the sources that they've spoken to have said that Leeds United have not made direct contact with Chelsea around Liam Delap, but they can confirm that Everton and Newcastle have. So still question marks over whether Leeds have actually inquired at all, or if this is just agents trying to drum up a little bit of noise around the player to get other clubs interested in moving for them. So that's where we are at the moment. If you want to get more detail on the list of players that have been linked with Leeds United, the outlets and the credibility, myself and Andrea Russo spoke about it on the podcast last night. You can get it on the audio platforms, or you can see it down below, linked just here. And if you want to download Finalysis as well, completely free. If you want to get involved in the player ratings heading into this weekend's home game against Brighton and Hove Albion, you can do that. Outside that, I will talk to you over the weekend. I'll see you later. Bye.